The grand hall of the Monticello estate lay in eerie silence, the chandeliers flickering as if sensing the doom that had fallen. Michael Romano whispered under his breath, "It's over." Blood pooled across the marble floor where Don Vincenzo was sprawled, a life extinguished in a heartbeat. Sofia Romano clutched her father's hand, tears glinting in the dim light, her mind racing with betrayal. Outside, rain hammered against the mansion, masking the distant sirens. Alessandro Moretti emerged from the shadows, scanning for threats, his eyes cold and calculating. In the corner, Luca Greco's gloved hands trembled slightly, the weight of orders pressing on him. The world had shifted, and no loyalty would survive intact. Michael swallowed hard, sending the final message from the hidden phone, "It's done. The king is dead." The empire's heartbeat faltered, leaving chaos in its wake. Michael Romano exited the Monticello estate into the pouring rain, his coat drenched, mind racing. The betrayal ran deep, and every familiar shadow felt dangerous. He muttered, "They knew too much." In the distance, Sofia clutched the phone, dialing frantically for help, while Alessandro watched silently from the street corner, calculating the next move. Luca followed discreetly, keeping his presence concealed. The city outside was alive with sirens, flashing lights and whispers of fear. Michael's hand gripped the phone tighter, the message already sent, but his conscience weighed heavier than the soaked fabric of his coat. Night enveloped the city like a predator, each alley promising both salvation and death. He paused, considering who could be trusted in a world where loyalty was a lie, and survival demanded cunning. Sofia hung up the phone, tears merging with raindrops, heart pounding. Inside, Alessandro Moretti lit a cigarette, smoke curling through the night air as he assessed the scene. Michael clenched his jaw, whispering, "We must move before they find us." Luca Greco shadowed behind, eyes scanning rooftops for danger. The city was a labyrinth of corruption and violence. Their every choice could tip the balance between survival and annihilation. A distant gunshot echoed, reminding them the empire was never dormant. Michael's mind flashed back to his training, to the orders he once followed without question. Betrayal had changed everything, and only decisive action could restore even a semblance of control. Inside a nearby safe house, Michael spread out blueprints on a wooden table, fingers tracing escape routes. "They underestimated us," he murmured. Sofia leaned over his shoulder, voice trembling, "But who orchestrated this?" Alessandro paced, cigarette ash falling, calculating alliances and enemies. Luca checked weapons silently, the weight of the night pressing on each man differently. Every shadow outside seemed alive with potential threats. The betrayal gnawed at them, an invisible predator stalking the edges of trust. Decisions had to be made quickly. Hesitation meant death. The empire they served was fracturing, and only unity, or ruthless action, could salvage what remained. Rain hammered the city as the group emerged from the safe house, each step echoing in deserted streets. Michael whispered, "We hit them before they hit back." Sofia followed, silent but alert, while Alessandro scanned rooftops for snipers. Luca carried weapons with fluid precision, eyes never resting. Every alley and corner could conceal betrayal. The night's chill felt alive, pressing against skin and conscience alike. Decisions were immediate, ruthless, and essential. The betrayal was not only a wound, but a call to arms, demanding action. Each heartbeat echoed with the knowledge that survival required courage, intelligence, and absolute trust. Trust that was now in short supply. Michael Romano sat in the dimly lit backroom of an abandoned warehouse, tracing his fingers over a faded map of the city's crime sectors. "Every ally is a potential traitor," he murmured, eyes narrowing. Sofia Romano leaned against the cracked wall, clutching her coat tightly, shivering from more than the cold. Alessandro Moretti checked the perimeter, the faint glow of his cigarette illuminating his sharp features. Luca Greco cleaned his weapon methodically, each click echoing in the empty room. The air smelled of rain, oil, and desperation. Michael's mind raced, weighing every decision, calculating the thin line between loyalty and betrayal. Every whisper outside the warehouse could mask an assassin's step, and every shadow might hide a spy. The family they once trusted now felt like strangers, and the city's underworld was a maze of deceit, where survival required wit as much as courage. Sofia paced near the window, eyes darting to each dark alley below. "We can't trust anyone now," she said, voice tight. Michael stood behind her, shoulders tense, whispering, "We move only when we're certain." Alessandro tapped ash into a metal tray, observing the city's glow, weighing allies and enemies alike. Luca's eyes shifted constantly, scanning rooftops for any movement. The room hummed with silent strategy, every gesture signaling intentions unspoken. Outside, sirens wailed faintly, a reminder that the streets were never safe. Memories of past missions collided with current threats, forcing the team to confront both old grudges and new dangers. Every calculated step was essential. Hesitation meant vulnerability, and vulnerability in their world was fatal. Michael laid out small photographs and coded messages across the table. "We need information before anyone moves," he said, voice firm. Sofia leaned in, eyes scanning the details, noting patterns. Alessandro flicked ash with deliberate precision, calculating responses to each potential threat. Luca tapped a finger against his pistol case, anticipation coiling in every muscle. The warehouse seemed alive with tension, the distant city noises barely audible yet omnipresent. Every choice had consequences extending beyond tonight. Betrayal was a constant companion, lurking in the smiles of allies and shadows of strangers. Michael's strategy depended on anticipation, deception, and timing, a delicate balance where one misstep could undo everything they had fought for. Outside, rain's slick streets mirrored neon signs, creating a kaleidoscope of danger and opportunity. Michael moved cautiously with Sofia close behind, whispering instructions under his breath. Alessandro and Luca flanked them, vigilant for ambushes. "They won't hesitate to strike," Michael said, eyes scanning alleyways. Each shadow concealed potential enemies, each passing pedestrian could be a spy. The city's heartbeat matched their own, a rhythm of risk, betrayal, and survival. Their alliances had been tested, trust shattered, but the mission demanded precision. Every movement was deliberate, every glance intentional. They navigated a maze of streets and alleys, a living chessboard where one false step could end everything. The group reached an abandoned dock, where fog rolled in from the river, swallowing shapes and muffling sounds. Michael whispered, "We wait for the signal." Sofia hugged her arms, shivering from both cold and fear. Alessandro lit a match briefly, illuminating his calculating gaze. Luca crouched near crates, weapons ready, muscles coiled like springs. Every plan hinged on timing, precision, and the reliability of those few who remained loyal. Betrayal hung thick in the mist, and even familiar voices could deceive. The night's chill seeped into bones and conscience alike. Every heartbeat was a countdown, every movement a measure of survival. The city beyond waited, indifferent, while they prepared to act. Michael Romano crouched behind a stack of shipping crates at the abandoned harbor, rain hammering the metal roof. "They're moving faster than we anticipated," he muttered, scanning the shadows. Sofia Romano adjusted her coat, eyes flicking to every corner, nerves taut. Alessandro Moretti signaled silently, calculating lines of sight, while Luca Greco shifted his weight, ready for action. Distant sirens echoed through the fog, masking the approach of rival enforcers. Every alley, every container, felt alive with potential threats. The city's criminal underworld had erupted into chaos, alliances shifting like sand. Betrayal was no longer a possibility, it was imminent. Michael clenched his jaw, knowing one wrong step could cost everything. Inside a dimly lit warehouse, Michael traced the rival cartel's routes on a stained floor map, whispering, "We need to cut them off here." Sofia leaned in, tracing possible escape points with trembling fingers. Alessandro paced nearby, cigarette glowing, calculating the next move. Luca checked weapons silently, muscles taut, eyes scanning every entrance. The tension was palpable. The walls seemed to close in, echoing their every thought. Outside, engines roared, signaling that the enemy was already mobilizing. Every second counted, and hesitation would be fatal. Michael's mind raced, balancing aggression with caution, knowing betrayal could come from anywhere. The underworld had become a chessboard, and they were only one move away from disaster. Rain lashed the rooftops as Michael, Sofia, Alessandro, and Luca moved silently across the cityscape. "Keep low," Michael whispered, voice tense, eyes scanning below. Sofia clutched a small bag containing critical intel, heart pounding with every step. Alessandro signaled for caution, smoke curling from his discarded cigarette. Luca led the way, eyes sharp for signs of ambush. Below them, the cartel's forces mobilized, unaware of the impending counterattack. Every movement required precision, timing, and trust, a delicate balance in a city that no longer honored loyalty. Shadows merged with fog, and every sound seemed amplified. A distant footstep could signal disaster. The night had become a battlefield of shadows, strategy, and survival. Inside the cartel's safe house, Michael spread out surveillance photos, whispering, "We know their routes. Now we exploit them." Sofia peered over his shoulder, anxiety etched on her face. Alessandro leaned against a wall, calculating response patterns, cigarette smoke curling lazily. Luca checked pistols silently, tension coiling in every muscle. Each photograph revealed potential threats, hidden paths, and vulnerabilities. The underworld's intricate web was unraveling before their eyes, and every step carried risk. Betrayal could strike from the most familiar faces. Time was slipping, and the enemy was more organized than anticipated. Michael's mind raced to coordinate a strike while preserving the lives of those he still trusted. Michael, Sofia, Alessandro, and Luca emerged from the safe house into narrow alleyways, rain still falling steadily. "We strike before dawn," Michael whispered, eyes fixed on the distant lights of the cartel's compound. Sofia's hands shook as she adjusted her coat, nerves taut, but determination fierce. Alessandro's sharp gaze calculated cover and angles, cigarette stub pressed in hand. Luca moved silently, weapon ready, muscles coiled for action. Every step was deliberate. The night was a trap lined with shadows. The enemy was closing in, unaware that their every move had been anticipated. Trust was fragile, strategy paramount, and the balance between life and death hung on razor edges. Survival demanded speed, cunning, and ruthless precision. Michael Romano entered the hidden chamber beneath the Monticello estate, his pulse quickening. Documents and photographs were scattered across the desk, exposing alliances he never suspected. "It's worse than I imagined," he whispered. Sofia Romano's eyes widened as she traced the connections, realizing their entire strategy had been compromised. Alessandro Moretti flicked ash from his cigarette, jaw tight, lips pressed in contemplation. Luca Greco silently examined each document, tension coiling in every muscle. The web of betrayal extended beyond rival families. Inside their own ranks, someone had orchestrated the chaos. Every revelation deepened the sting of distrust. Every name a potential traitor. Michael's mind raced, calculating how to respond while preserving the remnants of his team. The Empire's shadows stretched wider than imagined, and the price of survival had suddenly grown immeasurable. Sofia's hands trembled as she realized the scale of the deception. "Michael, it's Alessandro," she breathed, horror in her voice. Michael's eyes narrowed, heart pounding, as the truth settled in. Alessandro's calm exterior had concealed an intricate betrayal spanning months. Luca's stance stiffened, every instinct screaming caution. The safe house had become a trap, the allies they relied upon no longer reliable. Michael clenched his fists, thinking of every decision he had made, now tainted by the duplicity of someone he trusted implicitly. Every strategy needed reevaluation. The enemy was now embedded within their own ranks. Shadows deepened, and trust became a fragile, dangerous commodity. The world they knew had shifted completely. Michael paced, trying to reconcile months of strategy with Alessandro's betrayal. "Every move we made was anticipated," he muttered. Sofia clutched the documents tightly, trembling but resolute. Luca's eyes scanned every corner of the room, muscles coiled for sudden action. Alessandro leaned casually, expression unreadable, masking his manipulations with effortless control. The city outside remained oblivious to the treachery unfolding within. The quiet night, a sharp contrast to the chaos now revealed. Michael's mind raced to salvage what remained, formulating countermeasures while anticipating further deception. Trust had fractured beyond repair. Alliances were illusions, and survival demanded ruthless clarity. Every decision now carried life or death consequences. The revelation shattered the fragile equilibrium. Michael drew a deep breath, whispering, "We have no choice but to act now." Sofia nodded, eyes steely despite fear. Alessandro's smirk hinted at anticipation, his loyalty a question mark. Luca's hands tightened around his weapons, every fiber ready for confrontation. The hidden alliances of the underworld had been laid bare, showing the threads of manipulation that stretched from local cartels to global operatives. The night seemed to close in, the weight of betrayal pressing down. Every ally was suspect, every plan vulnerable. Michael's resolve hardened. Decisive action was the only path forward. Every heartbeat marked time toward a confrontation that could change everything. As dawn crept over the city skyline, Michael, Sofia, and Luca prepared for the confrontation that would decide the Empire's fate. Alessandro's betrayal had reshaped every strategy, forcing them to improvise rapidly. "We strike before they consolidate," Michael whispered. Sofia secured the documents, determination hardening in her features. Luca adjusted his weapons silently, muscles taut with anticipation. The first light glimmered on rain-slick streets, revealing shadows where enemies could be hiding. Every decision now carried irreversible consequences. The underworld's web of deception had been unveiled, leaving them few allies and countless threats. Survival demanded courage, intelligence, and ruthless execution of plans, born from betrayal and necessity. Michael Romano surveyed the isolated estate from a concealed vantage point, calculating every entrance and exit. "Every angle must be covered," he whispered to Sofia, who clutched the intel tightly. Alessandro Moretti remained hidden in shadow, a silent observer of the unfolding tension. Luca Greco checked the weapons again, muscles taut, eyes alert for movement in the surrounding grounds. The estate's grandeur masked a dangerous battlefield. Hedges and stone walls could conceal attackers. Every heartbeat was a countdown to confrontation. Michael's mind raced, balancing the need for speed with caution. Sofia's resolve hardened. Betrayal had sharpened her instincts. Luca's eyes scanned constantly, prepared for ambush. The night air carried tension, thick with anticipation. Sofia crouched behind a marble pillar, whispering, "They'll strike first." Michael nodded, eyes scanning the estate's perimeter, calculating patrol patterns. Alessandro remained unreadable in his concealed position, smirk hinting at anticipation. Luca flexed his fingers over the pistol grip, ready for immediate action. The wind carried distant shouts, echoes of movements, and subtle metallic sounds. Every detail mattered. The flash of light on a blade, the movement of a shadow, the slightest shift in the enemy's position. Michael instructed precise positioning, knowing one misstep could unravel hours of planning. Sofia's breath steadied, muscles coiled, ready for action. The first move would determine survival. The balance of power hung in their careful orchestration. Michael led Sofia and Luca through the estate's maze of gardens and fountains, each step deliberate. "We must remain unseen until the right moment," he said quietly. The wind shifted, carrying the faint scent of betrayal. Alessandro remained a phantom presence, observing every movement, every subtle signal. Sofia's hands tightened around the documents, heart hammering. Luca's eyes darted constantly, muscles primed for sudden action. The estate, so pristine in daylight, now seemed a labyrinth of shadows and potential death traps. Every stone, fountain and hedge could conceal threats. Michael's mind mapped out contingencies, anticipating counterattacks. Timing, stealth, and precision would determine who survived the coming confrontation. The central courtyard of the estate lay empty, bathed in pale moonlight. Michael signaled for the team to halt. "Positions," he whispered. Sofia crouched near a fountain, Luca blending with shadowed arches. Alessandro remained motionless, blending with the darkness, unreadable. The air carried distant movements of guards, a soft shuffle on cobblestone. Every second heightened the anticipation, the calculus of survival pressing on their minds. Michael's breath was steady, thoughts sharp. One miscalculation could cost everything. Sofia's gaze shifted toward each shadow, every detail noted. Luca's hands flexed around weapons, poised for instant action. Silence became a weapon, tension the prelude to the storm. A distant shout shattered the silence. The confrontation had begun. Michael whispered, "Now." Sofia and Luca moved with precision, shadows merging with movement. Alessandro's calm smirk remained, signaling he anticipated the chaos. Every step, every breath mattered as the night erupted into motion. Guards appeared from hidden corners, weapons drawn. Michael coordinated rapid, silent commands. Sofia's hands tightened around intel, her determination cutting through fear. Luca's movements were fluid, lethal, anticipating threats. The estate became a battlefield of shadows, strategy, and split-second decisions. Survival depended on instinct, preparation, and ruthless execution. The night's climax had begun, and every choice would echo in the Empire's downfall. Michael Romano crept into the main hall of the isolated estate, shadows stretching across marble floors. "Stay sharp," he whispered to Sofia, her hand gripping the intel tightly. Luca Greco flanked him, muscles coiled, eyes scanning every corner. Alessandro Moretti emerged from a side corridor, calm and calculating, the betrayal lingering in the air like smoke. Guards from the syndicate were stationed in strategic positions, unaware of the approaching strike. Every heartbeat carried the weight of imminent violence. The estate, usually a symbol of opulence, had become a labyrinth of death. Michael's mind raced through contingencies, calculating each move while anticipating deception at every turn. Sofia's resolve hardened as she followed silently, and Luca's body tensed, ready for the inevitable clash. Sofia crouched behind an ornate column, whispering, "They're more prepared than we thought." Michael adjusted his stance, scanning guard positions with precision. Alessandro remained composed, observing from a vantage point, calculating every reaction. Luca moved fluidly, weapons at the ready, anticipation evident in every muscle. The estate's silence was deceptive. Distant footsteps echoed faintly, signaling the approach of reinforcements. Every second demanded precision. Michael's strategy was a delicate balance between speed and caution. Each gesture, each step could trigger chaos. Sofia's fingers tightened around the documents, heart racing. Luca's eyes never left the shadows, fully aware that any mistake could cost them everything. Michael signaled a swift advance across the hall, whispering, "We take them by surprise." Sofia and Luca moved silently, blending with shadows. Alessandro's calm smirk betrayed confidence, masking potential traps. Guards stirred, weapons raised as shadows shifted, signaling the confrontation had begun. Every breath was measured, every movement critical. Michael calculated angles and timing, ensuring the team struck efficiently. Sofia's resolve burned brightly, determination overriding fear. Luca's movements were fluid, lethal, anticipating attacks before they occurred. The estate became a stage of imminent violence, where every choice carried life or death consequences. Michael's mind raced, aware that this was the moment all their plans converged. Gunfire erupted, echoing through the estate as Michael coordinated the strike. Sofia rolled behind a marble pillar, firing quickly, eyes narrowed. Luca moved with lethal precision, eliminating threats efficiently. Alessandro ducked and countered, his movements calculated, betraying no emotion. Smoke and echoes filled the grand hall, every sound amplified by polished marble and high ceilings. Michael signaled tactical shifts, anticipating enemy maneuvers while maintaining team cohesion. Sofia's fingers remained steady on her firearm, heart pounding but mind focused. Luca's muscles tensed for sudden attacks. Every second carried the weight of survival and the consequences of past betrayals. The hall had transformed into a battlefield, a dance of strategy, skill, and raw instinct. The confrontation reached its peak. Michael faced Alessandro across the hall, eyes locked. "It ends here," Michael said, voice low but firm. Sofia and Luca covered flanks, anticipation coiled like a spring. Alessandro's smirk remained, masking the danger he represented. Every movement mattered. One misstep could destroy them. The grand estate seemed alive with tension. Chandeliers swayed, shadows danced across walls, and distant gunfire echoed faintly. Michael lunged, strategy and instinct fused into decisive action. Sofia's hands were steady on her weapon, Luca's reflexes sharp. Every heartbeat carried the weight of vengeance, betrayal, and the choice between survival and annihilation. The Empire's fate balanced on this moment, and nothing could be undone. Michael Romano stood amidst the remnants of the estate, smoke curling from shattered windows. "It's over," he murmured, though the weight in his chest told another story. Sofia Romano's hands trembled as she secured the remaining documents, eyes scanning the debris for any hidden threat. Luca Greco cleaned his weapon, muscles slackening but tension lingering. Alessandro Moretti had vanished, leaving only the echo of his betrayal. The once grand hall was a testament to destruction, marble cracked, chandeliers dangling. Every decision, every risk, had led to this hollow victory. The city beyond the estate was silent, the underworld shaken, and the empire dismantled. Michael's gaze lingered on the ruined interior, questioning the cost of vengeance and the meaning of survival. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the city skyline. Michael, Sofia, and Luca moved cautiously, alert despite the apparent calm. "We've survived, but at what cost?" Michael whispered, voice low, eyes heavy. Sofia glanced at him, silent but understanding. The city, washed in morning haze, seemed indifferent to the Empire's collapse. Luca's gaze swept the surroundings, wary of any remaining threats. Every ally and enemy had left a mark, physical or emotional. Betrayal and revenge had reshaped their lives. Michael's mind replayed the final confrontation repeatedly, weighing each choice. The morning air carried both relief and unease. Survival had been achieved, but at a profound cost. Michael paused near a collapsed wall, surveying the ruins. "The Empire is gone," he said quietly. Sofia rested her hand on his shoulder, offering silent support. Luca flexed his fingers, aware the danger wasn't entirely gone. The underworld would remember this night. Whispers of betrayal and retribution would echo long after. Michael's thoughts drifted to Alessandro, to the choices that had defined the night, to the cost of trust and vengeance. Every scar in the estate reflected the fractured lives within it. The city beyond awaited, indifferent yet dangerous. Michael realized that survival was only the beginning of a different kind of battle, one with memory, morality, and the shadows of the past. The group moved toward the estate's gates, the city stretching beyond like a silent witness. Michael whispered, "We did what we had to do." Sofia's eyes scanned the streets, wary yet relieved. Luca's stance remained alert, muscles coiled despite victory. The Empire's remnants were behind them, a landscape of betrayal, blood, and shattered loyalty. Michael felt the weight of every decision, every life impacted by their actions. The silence of dawn contrasted the chaos of the night, and each step forward felt both freeing and heavy. The underworld would continue, but this chapter had ended. Every choice had consequences, and Michael understood that survival carried a debt beyond blood and violence. At the edge of the city, Michael stopped, eyes empty, gaze fixed on the horizon. Sofia and Luca stood beside him, silent, sharing the burden of survival. A faint ringing echoed in the distance. Another call, another chapter waiting. Michael's hand brushed the documents, the weight of choices pressing on his soul. The Empire was destroyed, betrayal exposed, but the cost was etched into their bodies and minds. Dawn's light bathed the streets, illuminating a world forever changed. Survival had been won, but peace remained elusive. Michael took a deep breath, stepping forward into uncertainty, aware that life beyond vengeance required navigating a new kind of battlefield. Shadows of the past lingered, but they moved into the day, carrying both scars and experience.